Fliss Premru, TSSA conference. As we know, we're sadly uncovering the extent and realising the extent of the problem that we have within our union. That's sadly with misogyny, sexism, bullying and harassment, with talented sisters being bullied out or not taking part and not getting the positions and the activism that they should. We acknowledge that it's also a much more compound issue for sisters of colour, for black and brown sisters, for disabled sisters, for gay and trans sisters. And we acknowledge and pay tribute to the brave sisters coming forward to change things. The General Council, we thank the General Council and Committee for their work on this. And I invite all sisters to join the growing movement of MeTU, to grow confidence and to work in solidarity for the change that we really need to see. And if anybody is free tomorrow night and Tuesday, I do invite you to join our fringe meeting there. It's tomorrow evening. Recently, just before this conference, there was a new organising conference where TSSA, my union, was there as a case study in a session. We heard from Helena Kennedy. If you've seen the report, it's very disturbing. The inquiry uncovered power hoarding, sexism, drunkenness, and much more. And she spoke to us that day. We broke out into groups and discussed what it meant and where we could go with this. And the conclusion was really that this is not an isolated instance, as we know. We've had several inquiries, but also that behaviour cannot continue without the almost not consent, but acquiescence of other unions too, because in my union, many people saw what our former General Secretary, Manuel Cortez, was like. It was quite visible, and nobody spoke. People did not speak out. People were frightened to speak out. And we also know that talented staff are bullied out and actually are afraid to speak out because they don't think they'll get a job in any other union. So we have a joint responsibility to look at this. And if you think it's not in your union, you're not looking hard enough. And we came to the conclusion that all unions should have their own inquiries, that we really have to stop the use of non-disclosure agreements, silencing, gagging orders. In these cases, this is our members' money, very ill spent. And yes, policies. Yes, we've got to improve our policies. We've got to improve our training. But TSSA, we found after the Kennedy inquiry that the former fiefdom had hidden a whole Connolly report, which was about the policies, which she said were really good, but were not being followed. And the former Assistant General Secretary hid it in a drawer. So when Helena Kennedy saw that and saw the same things repeated, yes, we had the policies. We did not have the practice. And we have to post these policies, but act on them. We've also got to acknowledge that sometimes there is complicity in staff unions who find it very difficult to look after their members in the power bases that they're in. And we have to establish safe reporting and a higher body that we can go to. My women's group in TSSA, Women in Focus, found that when we had a complaint with the union, it was difficult to know where to go. We did get a response from TUC about training and about how affiliates should be behaving, but we really need a place that we can go that is about that is independent and safe.
Delegate time, please, if you could wind up. Yep.
Right, I'll just wind up then and say it's really critical, not just the inquiries, but what happens in the aftermath. In TSSA, we used to have silos. We had disparaging of members, working in cliques, and so on and so forth. You do not change the culture by business as usual and just putting different people in posts, whether they are women or men. So we all have a long way to go. Please let's work together and let's make our unions fit to fight for the future that we need. Thank you.